diabetes, the arthritis, the heart disease, the dementia, the obesity, the cancers are affecting about 70% of deaths.
We have an epidemic cascade of debilitating disease that's overcoming the country.
18% of children are morbidly obese right now. We're on par to have 1 in 3 people be diabetic in the next 25 years. That's crazy statistics.
We have this very dangerous situation.
Large amounts of these substances have unquestionably been associated with clogged arteries, high blood pressure, diabetes, autoimmune diseases. Absolutely, the science is solid.
We're talking life and death.
Health organizations have become co-opted. They are taking money from the very industries who are causing the problems.
There's a very strong pharmaceutical industry and lobby that has a huge stake in preserving the status quo.
We've got a $35 billion statin drug industry. Do they ever want to see that go away?
The government's in bed with anyone that gives them the most money.
These are government programs.
Consumers have no idea.
We consider it normal that a town the size of the town I grew up in gets wiped out every year. If that many people were being killed by some terrorist group in the United States every year, we would find them.
From a community standpoint, from all other aspects, we're in a state of emergency.
They care more about cooperation than these people.
They spend at least $138 million lobbying Congress.
These companies really have a vested interest in making sure that the public doesn't have information about their effects.
Any little thing that comes up, man, they beat it to death.
They're trying to silence people into not speaking out and not showing the truth.
If that's where you want to go with this, I'm sorry, I'm not the person that you should be talking to.
The European Association of Society.
All right, pause that real quick. All right, Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praise to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai. I want to give double honors to our apostles and our elders of Great Millstone that rule well. And peace and salutation and many blessing to your elect Akim, the elect, kicking this word of sincerity and truth, and the elect that goes into the redeemed, and it goes into the remnant, it goes into the house of David. And in the ancient Hebrew, you would pronounce that as Bayat Dawadah. And those are the men that are helping build this temple up, because we are building the temple of David, and, of course, through the spirit and power of Yahweh Hashem, Yahweh Shai. And we actually are the temple of David, all right? And, again, referring to being the elect, if we are, But what we just watched here is a trailer going into the film, What in the Health, okay? And you can watch the film on Netflix. It's something I watched a few nights ago. Jake's been talking about it, and it just resonated in my spirit to do this lesson. All right, when you actually watch this video, it shows you pretty much how, of course, we know how demonic Esau is, but it shows you how he literally treats the food that we eat, the meat that we eat. All right, the condition that these animals are in that we're being fed, and pretty much how there's big companies like the North American Cancer Association, and also the Breast Cancer Association, Diabetes Association, so forth. And how they're actually in league with certain companies like McDonald's, Burger King. It's a plethora of different ones that actually cause these diseases that they're supposed to prevent. All right, and you got these big corporations that are actually in league with these companies, and these companies are paying them money. All right, and when you actually go deep into these companies that's paying them money, these are the same companies that's causing breast cancer, that's causing diabetes, that's causing prostate cancer. All right, it just ultimately shows you how wicked this devil is, man. All right, and how this whole thing is just a money system. As you see in the back, you see these burgers with dollar signs and pills in it. All right, and you got these people that's getting these diseases from these foods that they're eating, and they're going to these doctors and they're telling them certain treatments to take, certain pills to take, but it's not the solution for it. It's not a cure for it. All right, but Lord willing, this lesson is edifying. Wanted to go into a few scriptures again. The movie's called What in the Health, and I can't just bring out everything that was in there with it, because there was a lot of information in it, but it's definitely a highly recommended watch to make. Now, again, it goes into how all the meat that we eat is defiled. It don't matter if it's fish, it don't matter if it's chicken. It don't matter if it's beef. Of course, we know pork is defiled, but it's to the point now where everything we eat, I mean, of course, we know our bread is defiled amongst the Gentiles, and we'll get that, but all the meat that we eat is screwed up. Now, within this lesson, I'm not pointing it out there like, man, you need to stop eating meat or you need to stop doing this. It's whatever your spirit wants to do, because again, you know, everything's screwed up that we eat, you know, but it just goes into really just watching what you intake, man, because everything that we eat is corrupt. Now, we know the scriptures talk about not eating pork, and of course we ain't supposed to eat that BS, man. All right, the scriptures don't say you're not supposed to eat chicken or not supposed to eat beef, you know, and I'm not gonna be over righteous and say, you know, you wicked if you eat chicken or beef or salmon or something like that, you know, because we're in hell, you know, but just be mindful. Just be mindful of that. You know what I mean? Again, me, I'm not gonna say I'm gonna just quit eating meat. You know, watching this, I'm definitely gonna slow it down. It did make me want to quit eating it. You know what I mean? But you know, who knows what might pop up. You know, but just ultimately just to be mindful of what you are eating and what it is doing for your body, man, because this stuff is killing us, bro. This stuff is killing us, man. All right. But the first scripture I want to pull up is Job chapter 12. Actually, Slaki, I want to pull up Ezekiel chapter 4, verse 13. And the Lord, Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh said, even thus shall the children of Israel eat their defiled bread among the Gentiles, whither I will drive them. All right, and we're all in captivity right now. That goes to us being in captivity back then, us being in captivity right now, and our dietary habits. All right, and how we're going to eat our bread defiled amongst the Gentiles. Now, it doesn't necessarily have to mean bread as in physical bread, but that just goes to what you intake, what you eat. All right, and how it's defiled amongst everybody, because we're scattered among the Gentiles, and the Gentiles were known for eating abominable things. They're still known for eating abominable things. Look at Moab. All right, look at a lot of these Middle Eastern people, these Ishmaelites and these Elamites. A lot of them are putting rat and all that in their food, and they're saying that it's chicken. Moab's putting rat and frog in their food and saying that it's chicken, cat, and dogs. And Jake loves going to them because Jake don't got no places to go for themselves. They don't got no places to shop for themselves. Every place that we shop at, you got Esau that owns it. Every place that restaurants that we go to, it's Moab, it's Ammon, all right? It's Ishmael, it's Elam, so forth. And even if it is a Jake-owned restaurant, you got chitlins that's in there, pig feet, hog maws, all right? But again, this even can go forth into the normal things that we eat that we might feel like it's not as bad, all right? Because back in the ancient world, when we ate our meat, first and foremost, meat is it's a luxury item. Meat back then wasn't indulged in all like that. You weren't just eating meat like that unless it was a special occasion. All right, mainly our diet consisted of mainly 80% vegetables, quinoa, rice, and so forth. You would only eat meat on special occasions. All right, and there's plenty of scriptures to back that up. Even when the Queen of Sheba had visited King Solomon, when she had seen his countenance and his demeanor and his royalty, there was a bunch of meat that was on the table. All right, it was only for special occasions that you would eat meat. And also too, you had to really be balling to really eat meat like that, because you had to have the cattle, you had to have the sheep, and that stuff cost money. To have the chicken, all that stuff costed money. That was part of your substance. All right, and that's when you would slay the animal and you would cook it. But the whole nation wasn't really just balling like that. Even look at it right now. You got meat farms all over the place, cow farms all over the place. When you look at McDonald's, it says billions are served daily. Now you have to think back at billions daily. Is there enough cows to do that? Is there enough chickens to do that? Then it has to really make you think of how these animals are really being brought up. How their diet, what their diet consists of. Or are they genetically engineered in a test tube or so forth? All this stuff has to come into consideration once you eat this food. All that stuff you have to consider, is this stuff I'm really supposed to be eating? And it just goes into how our bread's defiled among the Gentiles, man. All right? It ain't supposed to be a bunch of chicken. You ain't supposed to just have chicken every day, beef every day. This stuff isn't supposed to be consumed every day. When you look at the upbringing of these animals are really tortured. When you watch that documentary, like there's literally chicken farms, they're literally in captivity. Just how we were in captivity in the ship, that's how these animals are in captivity. They don't have nowhere to go. They're not in farms. They're caged up in small cages. Hundreds of them are in small cages. And there's a large quantity of them that's dying. And these devils aren't taking the dead chicken out of the dead cows out of the dead so forth out and putting them somewhere else. No, there's dead bodies that's just there. And you got these dead animals, these animals that's stepping over these dead bodies, and they're plucking at it, they're eating at it, so forth. And what do you think is going to happen to that animal that eats that dead animal? All right, either it's going to die from it, or it's going to be slain and slaughtered, and its meat's going to be produced in these stores. And who's going to be the man once eating it? It's going to be us, you know. And what's that going to do to our bodies? Give us cancer, give us diabetes. Give our women breast cancer. Give our men colon cancer. That's why cancer's at an all-time high right now, man. Especially amongst you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. All right? Again, it says, even thus said the children of Israel, eat their defiled bread amongst the Gentiles, whither I drive them out. And when you eat this, it even goes into how the Lord had told Ezekiel to eat shit. All right? And Ezekiel had to do it. But Ezekiel is a symbolic representation of us. And how we gonna have to do it? We doing it right now. Verse 14 says, then said I, Lord, power, behold, my soul hath not been polluted. For from my youth up, even till now, have I not eaten of that which dieth of itself. All right. And what does that go into? That goes into Deuteronomy chapter 14, verse 14. And I'll get it. Because that's a law pretty much stating that you're not supposed to eat an animal that dies of probable cause. All right. That just dies of whatever that you don't know. All right. When you eat an animal, the animal is supposed to be slain. It's not supposed to be tortured. It's not supposed to be strangled. Okay? And when you eat those animals right now, we're eating strangled meats. There's still blood in these animals that we eat. They might chop the heads off from it, but they do it in an unjust way. Back then, when we slaying our animals, back then when we would sacrifice an animal, it would literally, like especially a sheep, the sheep would bow down willingly. It wasn't giving up a fight. All right. When these animals put up a fight, when these animals put up a fight, when you get ready to slay it, you don't know what type of fluids are getting pushed in their muscles. When an animal's putting up a fight, when you kill it, there's what's the word I'm looking for? Adrenaline that's being pushed out into the muscles, and the muscles get tensed up and so forth, and you're eating that. You're not supposed to eat that. It's not supposed to be like that. But again, he says, I have not eaten of which dieth of itself, or is torn in pieces, neither came there abominable flesh into my mouth. So the Lord's like, you're going to have to do it regardless or not. Because your people's going to have to do this. All right, there's a lot of instances where the Lord will make certain prophets do certain actions, and the prophet didn't know at that time why they did it, but later on they had understanding of why they did it, because it symbolically represented what the church was going to have to do at a period of time being in captivity. Because that's what we're going to have to do. All right. And it says, verse 15, then said he unto me, lo, I have given thee cow's dung for man's dung, and thou shalt prepare thy bread therewith. All right. So that pretty much goes into cow. Dung is shit. Excuse my language for the people that get offended at certain words. But dung is feces. All right. And when you actually look into the meat that we're eating, a lot of it actually has fecal matter into it, and that's feces. Even the state of North Carolina, when you watch that documentary, the state of North Carolina literally is polluted with feces. The water that they drink, the water that they spray onto the plants, the vegetation. All right, because it's a lot of farms over there. It's a lot of pig farms, a lot of cow farms, and a lot of these pig farms, like I mentioned earlier, they're putting dead pigs into the bins where where pigs are eating these pigs, and then they have the pig waste that gets flushed out into the lakes. All right. And I don't know if you know how pig waste is, but pig waste is like 10 times more of human waste. All right. So that's getting pushed off into the lakes. And then you got the water system that's getting flushed too. And that's getting sprayed all over the crops. That's getting put into your waters, your shower water, the water that you drink, the water that they're putting in these bottles that you're drinking. Okay. And then who eats this? Let's say if you're a vegan or vegetarian, you eat nothing but plants. You're eating plants that's been watered with fecal matter. So now you're eating these plants, and it's just an effect It's just an effect that's happening, a process happening that nothing we eat is good no more, man. And of course, that was an example of North Carolina because it has the reputation for that. But there's places like that all over the place. Even look at Monsanto. Research Monsanto and how a lot of these foods, as veggies that we're eating, they have chemicals on it or they have fecal waste on it. And we're eating this, man. There's no way of getting around these curses, man. All right. This is Deuteronomy chapter 14, verse 21. Ye shall not eat of anything that dieth of itself. And that's what Ezekiel was referring to in Ezekiel 14, where he says, from my youth up, even till now, have I not eaten anything that dieth of itself. All right. So jumping back to Deuteronomy 14, it says, ye shall not eat of anything that dieth of itself. And that also shows you that Ezekiel was a man that knew the law. Back then, we knew the law. We just were transgressing like a hoe. But we knew what to do and what not to do. Okay, because it was written. We were taught from youth up. We were supposed to be taught from youth up what to do and what not to do in these scriptures. All right. And Ezekiel is an example of a man that had done that. That's how he knew of that law. All right. It says, ye shall not eat of anything that dieth of itself. Thou shalt give it unto the stranger that is in thy gates, that he may eat it. Or thou mayest sell it unto an alien, for thou art an holy people unto Yahweh thy God. Thou shalt not see the kid in his mother's milk. So the key point is we ain't supposed to be eating that. All right. These other nations, they're going to do it. That's why they can live to be 100 years old by eating pigeon toes. You know what I'm saying? Moab can live 100 years old by eating live mice. All right. Eating stork ankles and shit. You know what I'm saying? But us being a holy people, man, we ain't supposed to eat that, man. If you see a cow, let's say for an example, all right, when all hell breaks loose and we in the wilderness and we see a dead animal just laying there and you might think it's food. No, man, that's not food. You don't know the cause of death of that animal. All right. That animal wasn't drained of its blood. The blood is still in there. That animal wasn't slain as an offering or slain as something to be eaten. No, it could have been diseased. Who knows how that cow died? All right. And that's also why it says in the scriptures, knowledge and wisdom shall be the stability of thy time. All right. Who knows what can happen in that day, man? But no, if you see a dead animal, man, and if you're hungry, you can't be like, oh, man, thank you. I'm going to eat this. No, man. Heavens no. You're not supposed to do that, man. It's defiled. You don't know how long it's been laying there because you got a lot of simple Jake that'll bring up the example of the pretty much not the manna, but pretty much the quail that fell from heaven. You know, the quail died. We ate that, right? First and foremost, man, we literally witnessed a bunch of them die right in front of us, and we knew it was the Lord that did it to us because the Lord told Moses he was going to do it. In this scenario with a cow or a goat laying on the ground, how long was it dead for? You don't know. How'd it die? You don't know. Was it a disease? You don't know. So that's why we ain't supposed to be eating that stuff like that, man. And even the stuff we're eating right now. Look at it. We don't know how it's dying. This food is diseased that we're eating. It's insane that the meat that we eat now, it's all diseased now. We don't know the cause of death anymore. Now, of course, I'm not going to be over righteous and say, no, don't eat meat. You know what I'm saying? No. But it just shows you just the condition that the state of the world is in right now. The food, it's all defiled, man. Shit is crazy, bro. When I watched that documentary, it made me sick that I was eating this stuff, man. It made me think like, man, I need to stop eating meat. Of course, Passover come around. We're going to do what we do, you know. But, you know, it's just like, man, I had some chicken last night. And in my mind, I'm like, oh, is this really chicken that I'm eating? Golly, I don't even know if this is chicken I'm eating right now. I don't know the cause of death, if it was diseased or what. I had to throw it away. Now, was I tripping? Maybe so. You know, I'm just giving off an example of my thoughts that came to my mind as I was eating it, you know. But it's like we really don't know, man. It just goes into being mindful, man. All right. This is Job chapter 12, verse 7. It says, but ask now the beast, and they shall teach thee, and the fowls of the air, and they shall tell me. And that's an example to observe the animals, man. And this can go into, let's say, if you're in a state of trouble, When all hell breaks loose and you see a flock of birds flying in one direction, you know they're either avoiding danger or they're going to water. All right? Or a bunch of animals dying in mass numbers, you know it's a plague going on somewhere. Or going into the foods that we eating right now. Watching a documentary like this, or not even just a documentary, but just researching it and looking at how these animals are farmed. All right? The condition of it. Man, when I was watching a documentary, it showed a bunch of those chickens in cages, and those chickens looked very depressed. They looked drugged up. They looked high as hell. Their eyes were red. Their eyes were low. They looked dead. Not physically dead, but mentally. They didn't have it. They were gone. So you can imagine if they felt like that. Imagine their insides, their meat, the stuff that they're pumping into them, man. All right? If the chickens are sick, dying from sickness, and we eating the chickens that's dying from sickness, what do you think is going to happen to you? If the cows are dying from sickness, and you're eating the cows that's dying from sickness, what do you think is going to happen to you? Now, the beautiful thing about our bodies and how Yahweh made our bodies are literally supposed to be regenerative. All right? But if you keep on giving your body BS, that's why our life expectancy is so low. You know, because we keep treating our bodies like garbage. You know, our bodies are supposed to be machines that last a long period of time. That's why when you look at the ancient world, men lived to be almost 1,000 years old. We were made to be immortal. You know, after Adam, you know, it dropped down to almost 1,000 years, which is still a long period of time. And then got dropped down lower than that. And then got dropped down to 120 years. Now look at it, man. It's hard to live being a male in America. It's hard to live past the age of 45, 50 years old, 55, without getting cancer. Prostate cancer is at an all-time high with men. Breast cancer is at an all-time high with women. Okay? But a lot of it goes into our diets, man. A lot of it goes into how they're treating these beasts, these animals, and the beasts that we're eating, you know? If this devil keeps going the rate it is going, there's not going to be nothing left, man. Because, of course, Jake's going to do what they do. You know, with Jake doing what they doing, you know, Jake's going to continue to die at a younger age, man. It's going to be a point where it's all going to wither away, man. That's why Yahweh Shai has to deliver us soon. That's why he's going to deliver us soon. All right? Of course, we don't know the day or the hour, you know, but through prophecy, we know it's going to be soon. All right? That's why he says, and I'm going to bring it out, but that's why it says, you know, if for my elect's sake, you know what I mean? For his elect's sake. No flesh shall be saved, but for his elect's sake, they're going to be saved. The days are going to be short, you know? And you can feel it. The days are definitely shortened right now, man. Most definitely. You can feel it. A day feels like a snap of the finger now, man. Time's going by fast. Prophecies taking place. The Wadi Yahweh Shah for that, man. All right? Because Jake is in a low-level state of mind where they can literally receive information like this. I'm talking about 2/3 when I say Jake. They can literally receive information like this and completely blow it off or ignore it. I mean, blow it off and just be like, oh, I'm still going to eat pork. I'm still going to do this, even though I know I got gout, know I got high blood pressure, know I got diabetes, know I got colon cancer, prostate cancer, so forth. 2/3 just ain't gonna get right, man. They're gonna have beautiful information brought up to them, and they're not gonna take advantage of it, man. But the elect is, and that's why those days are gonna be shortened for their sakes. Lord willing, we those men, you know. Saying that as a member of the hopeful elect. Okay, this is Matthew chapter 24, verse 22. I'll jump straight to the point, and it says, "And except those days should be shortened, there should no flesh be saved, but for the elect's sake, those days shall be shortened." Okay? So, if these days weren't shortened, ain't no flesh gonna be saved, man. And a lot of this just it goes into population control. Excuse me. Because this is population control we're witnessing right now. It's just different events or different aspects of population control. And this is one of the aspects of population control, being what they're doing to the food that we're eating. The diseases that they're putting in our bodies from the food that we're eating goes into controlling the population. All right? And without those days being shortened, ain't no life that's going to be left, man. Diseases and all that, it's going to kill a large portion of it off, man. All right? Like, again, when I watched this documentary, it had me like, whoa. Of course, a lot of the stuff, this is stuff, a lot of it we already know. Stuff Jake brings out a lot of times on the highways and byways, but just the entirety of what was presented in this film that's about 1 hour and 30-something minutes, it's mind-boggling, man. It'll make you really reflect like, yo, this is the devil, man. This is the devil. They're doing all this stuff to receive mammon, to receive money, all right? And a lot of companies, we work for a lot of these companies that's doing this, man. They literally have certain diets that they want you to follow that consists of like red meat or consists of pork or consists of chicken, stuff that's high in sodium. And when you look at these diet plans that Esau produces in front of you that millions of people are paying money to follow, these are still there's companies that's funding these that are literally supposed to be against it. All right. For example, these diet plans are supposed to be against diabetes. They're supposed to be against high blood pressure. But you got certain companies that are with diabetes, that are with high blood pressure, that produce stuff like this, that produce that food, like Tyson Chicken, for example. That's an example. And they fund certain dietary what's it called? Certain dietary I don't want to say dietary laws, but pretty much certain diets. Tyson Chicken is an example that funds certain ones, and these people pay money for these diets, man. And these same cancer-causing companies are funding them. So it makes you think back to like, man, are these people really for us? Of course, us being in the know, we know for a fact they're not for us. But for you Jakes that might be watching this video, that might be out of the loop, that don't know, yes, man, this is the devil that's over you, man. This devil's putting this stuff in front of you. This devil's feeding you this food. This devil's doing this to the food. He's doing this to the animals that we're eating. He's doing this to the vegetation that we eat. He's doing all of this. This man is the harbinger of death. This is the man of sin. Esau, yes, the so-called white man. If you're, oh, well, I may be a white guy, but I'm not with this, man. This is still your people, man. And you're going to have to fall with them. Just like we had to suffer for our ancestors. Just like we had to suffer for our wicked ass people. You got to do the same exact thing. There's no getting away from your judgment. All right? Look what your people have caused. Look what you've done to the planet Earth. Look at the state of the Earth. The Earth is literally in mourning. We are in the worst case scenario right now, man. Literally, we're in the worst case scenario. Food that we eat that's supposed to build us up, man, is terrible for us now, man. This is supposed to be life for us. All right? That's why the scriptures say, man shall not live off bread alone, but every word that proceedeth out of the mouth of the Heavenly Father. And that's loosely paraphrasing, man. Because that's ultimately what our life is, this word, man. We ain't going to live off bread alone. It's defiled amongst the Gentiles. You know, it causes cancer. Causes all of that. But, man, a wise man once said to me, man, he once said, we don't know what type of diseases that we have right now. We don't know. We do not know. These devils are feeding us BS, us as in the men of the Lord. They're doing stuff to our bodies, and they probably mind-boggled like, how are these men still alive right now? That's through the spirit and grace of Yahweh Hashem Yahweh Shai. A lot of us should be dead. The spirit's keeping us rolling. A lot of us should be dead, man. We do not know. We don't know what's in our bodies right now, man. And also, too, that's why we got to pray over our food when we eat it, you know? When we pray over our food, the Lord can take a lot of that BS out of there just by that prayer, you know. But again, I don't want to make it too long. I'm going to end it off on that trailer again. But Lord willing, this is edifying, man. Again, if you got the time, watch that video, man. Video had me like, wow, you know. But, you know, again, Lord willing, it was edifying. Again, I want to give all praise to Yahweh by Hashem Yahweh Shai. I want to give double honors to our apostles and our elders of Great Millstone that rule well. Peace and citation to the elect, the house of David, the remnant, all right, house of David being Bayat Dawadah, kicking this word of sincerity and truth. Shalom.
The diabetes, the arthritis, the heart disease, the dementia, the obesity, the cancers are affecting about 70% of deaths.
We have epidemic cascade of debilitating disease that's overcoming the country.
18% of children are morbidly obese right now. We're on par to have 1 in 3 people be diabetic in the next 25 years. That's crazy statistics.
Have this very dangerous situation.
Large amounts of these substances have unquestionably been associated with clogged arteries, high blood pressure, diabetes, autoimmune diseases. Absolutely, the science is solid.
We're talking life and death.
Health organizations have become co-opted. They are taking money from the very industries who are causing the problems.
There's a very strong pharmaceutical industry and lobby that has a huge stake in preserving the status quo.
We've got a $35 billion statin drug industry. Do they ever want to see that go away?
The government's in bed with anyone that gives them the most money.
These are government programs.
Consumers have no idea.
We consider it normal that a town the size of the town I grew up in gets wiped out every year. If that many people were being killed by some terrorist group in the United States every year, we would find them.
From a community standpoint, from all other aspects, we're in a state of emergency.
They care more about cooperation than do people.
They spend at least $138 million lobbying Congress.
These companies really have a vested interest in making sure that the public doesn't have information about their effects.
Any little thing that comes up, man, they beat it to death.
They are trying to silence people into not speaking out and not showing the truth. If that's where you want to go with this, I'm sorry, I'm not the person that you should be talking to.
The European Association of Side.